Welcome to Homebuyer Seminar. I'm Bill Gross, eXp Realty broker, along with my good friend and colleague and partner sometimes,
Patricia Castillo.
or Pat, for those who know her well. You guys are strangers hearing her on this call, but those who know her call her Pat. It's just people like me who've known her for 6 years who call her Patricia, and along with a good friend and lender.
How's it going, Shannon, guys?
And so we're talking before we started about the challenge of working with buyers in that sometimes their expectations aren't in line with the market. Sometimes it can be because if also by definition, first-time buyers never owned a house before, second-time buyers only owned one. So the buyers typically less experienced in transactions, and the expectations may be not as reasonable or grounded in experience, and can be challenging to work with. And I think also part of it is the real estate news industry. I think gives buyers a false sense of control when most everything we do has to be negotiated. So Patricia was talking about a situation that came up, but how do you handle that, Patricia? You have buyers who, obviously your job is to get them the best deal. Your job is to get them everything they want, make them happy. But sometimes people can't be made happy because their expectations aren't set up properly in the beginning.
Right. So that's really important in the beginning of the talks about even starting from the loan approval, right? We want to make sure that we are providing all the information possible, because there's different steps as you go along in the process. So it's controlling well, I wouldn't say controlling, but providing as much information as possible to the clients so they're fully aware of what the market conditions are, how demanding properties can be for certain locations, because that also makes a big difference. If one property is much hotter, it has 10 offers, and buyers want a seller credit and longer contingencies, they want all the appliances included, things like that, that can be something that has to be managed as far as expectations, because the offer may not get accepted if another buyer is coming in on that same hot property and not asking for all the appliances and not asking for a seller credit, right? Versus another property that's been sitting on the market a little bit longer. And that's where you have a little bit more wiggle room with getting a seller concession, possibly getting the appliances included, things like that. So I think it all starts with the market conditions and explaining to buyers where the market is at today, not where it was at last year, or it's going to be at a week from now. But if we're submitting offers today, then we have to look at the existing situation with where sellers are at as well, because we have to take all that into consideration.
So what I'm hearing too is it sounds like the market is based off of almost each house, right? Each house can be a separate market in itself, right? Could be one property that's, like you said, doesn't have too many offers. Another one has 3-4 offers. So it looks like, the market, like you guys always say, it's hyper local. It looks like in this case could be from house to house, right? So
Yeah, sometimes it's street to street.
yeah.
I mean, I had a realtor friend that had a listing in an area called El Sereno. It's near Alhambra. It's like right near South Pass.
Yeah.
And just half a block away, a home sold for $1.3 million.
Oh wow.
Down the street, around just right around the corner, it was like an L shape. So right around the corner, the home was listed at $1.2 million, and it was not getting the same type of response from buyers as the other home that sold for $1.3 million. And this agent was not a local agent. So when he listed the property, I said, "You're overpriced," because I know that area. I grew up in that area. So slowly but surely, the price came down after 2 price reductions. They ended up locking in a buyer and they sold the property. Well, the reason why the other home sold for $1.3 million is because it's a very popular street that is one of the most beautiful streets in that community. Has really nice homes that are like perched up on a higher level from the street. Um, it's also got really beautiful, large, mature trees, and they have block parties there. So they have big Halloween extravaganzas. They have block party yard sales. So it's a whole community within that one street, right? You turn the
Wow.
corner, you're still in the same community, but you're not
It's
getting
just
all that.
different
You're not
world.
actually, it's like a strip. right? It's kind of like living on the strip in that little community.
Yeah.
Well, people will pay for that.
Yeah, they'll pay a premium for certain features of location. They'll pay what seems like an unreasonable premium. Like where I live, now sometimes those change though. Like where I live in West LA, there is called Pico Robertson, corner of Pico Boulevard, going east west, and Robertson south north south. And when I moved here, the area west of Robertson was very popular, and people were moving in. The side just east of Robertson, which is across, it's a major boulevard, but across the boulevard, the crime rate was much higher, and the values of the houses were like half the price. Well, over time, when Pico Robertson prices went up, the people started buying across the street and getting something cheaper, and more people go there. Where now that the prices are comparable on both sides. I happen to live in a Jewish community. They built more synagogues east of Robertson. They put more stores east of Robertson, more restaurants, more schools, more families moved in, became more desirable. Now it goes away across La Cienega. It used to be East La Cienega wasn't as nice. Now that's getting nicer. So again, these things can change over time, and it's not only just if you're going to buy a house and plan to raise a family, you want to think about just not where it is today, but also what's the trend line in this? Is it positive or negative? And people do pay a premium to be in a certain family cultural area that works for them and their family. But those things kind of ebb and flow too. So, yeah.
Right. The other thing I think to look out for is any future developments. If you're a person that maybe wants to stay out of a super busy, high intense traffic area,
Right.
you might want to look at what the neighborhood council's doing, what kind of meetings are happening for that specific area to see what is going to be developed. They could be transforming a warehouse into, I don't know, a certain type of facility that you may not want to live near. So those are things to look into as far as not just where the home is located on that street, but the actual neighborhood and things that are happening maybe a mile away from that home, and see what other businesses might be in the process of being developed.
Yeah, it's funny to say, I was on the neighborhood council in my neighborhood for 2 terms, and it's like a mini version of the city council in Los Angeles. And I can just tell you that wherever you develop, the neighbors come out against it. Doesn't matter where it is. The term's called "not my backyard," and I get it. Like there was one big development we were going to approve. I don't think I was on when they finished it, but where the Helms Bakery used to be iconic in Culver City. For those of us who grew up in Southern California, it used to be Helms Bakery trucks. They drive around with baked goods and sell donuts out the back door and stuff. And then it became more of a wholesale trade, and then became a retail center. Across the street, across Washington Boulevard, this huge boulevard, was the parking for what used to be this manufacturing site where they bake stuff. And the people in the property wanted to develop into like a 6-story, I think, condos, and then the bottom floor would be retail, and they had underground parking, and of course all the neighbors came out because they didn't want anybody moving there because it will cause more traffic down their side street. And on one hand, I relate to that. On the other hand, you could build nowhere in Los Angeles if the neighbors could just veto building. So it's a challenge, and I do think that you want to look at the character of the neighborhood you're in and figure out what the plans are. And I wouldn't buy something assuming I could defeat a project, because there's just politics. You can't fight City Hall. It's just not. It's not unless you're a politician. That's your business. But for most people, kind of read the tea leaves and figure out where it is. Don't worry about trying to change that.
No, yeah,
That's right.
it's good. It's good advice.
Yeah, things like metro rails, the local lines that are sometimes they're creating a new line. So those are things that are not existing right now. So you go to the property, you may not see any tracks there, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen in the future.
Yep. Yeah, I have to tell you, but personally, we have in LA where I am I forget which line it is, coming down Wilshire Boulevard, and it's as far as La Cienega, and it's going to go next to, I forget exactly what major boulevard's opening up, but it's going to go through Beverly Hills, and eventually it's going to connect to UCLA. And I remember it was just plans people talked about. I thought, well, that's never going to happen, not my lifetime. Well, it probably is going to be my lifetime. So it's a little far for us, but definitely affects people who live in that neighborhood. I mean, there are people very concerned about that. So we have to come check that stuff out. And that's why we get reports. We get disclosures, right? Nobody bought a house there and didn't know about it. Everybody knew about it. The realtors knew about it, but there are forms you had to sign acknowledging it, particularly if you were boarding on it within, 1,000 yards of it. Definitely people, you'll find that out and then make a decision if it's good for you or not. Maybe you want to live next to the rail center. That's great if that's your lifestyle. Some people don't. So, Shannon, so what's happening with interest rates and how's that affecting buyers? Are buyers still getting started in the buying process? Are buyers closing deals? Are buyers backing out deals? What's going on?
No, yeah, buyers are still for sure in deals. Let me see if I can pull up the last rates that we have available. So let me check right here. Let's say I have it right here. For conventional, we're at 6.25, we're at a 740 FICO score. FHA, you're still in the fives. Now, I know the jobs report is coming out this Friday. So anytime the jobs reports come out, it does affect rates because if jobs report is weak, they tend not to raise the interest rates. If they become strong, then that's when they say, okay, we have an excuse to higher interest rates. So, they peaked, I think, of what's going on geopolitically, but, they're again, relatively still low. And right now what I'm doing is I'm working with a lot of my self-employed clients. A lot of people are, have their own businesses, they have their own gigs. So, for you guys out there that do have your own business, self-employed, 1099, that kind of thing. I know everyone's calling me right now about their taxes. How do I do my taxes? What do I report? Because if you want to put anywhere, below 15% down, you're going to need a conventional loan. And a conventional loan is going to look at your taxes. They're going to look at, hey, not what you gross, what you put on your net on your Schedule C. That form, Schedule C, that you fill out with your tax preparer or CPA, they're going to look at that. Most of the time, they'll look at the last 2 years, and it's what you profited on there. Now, some things they can add back in, but for the most part, it's that profit number, not that gross. Or again, if you have more than 50% down, there's other programs out there. But I know a lot of my clients right now are asking me, hey, what do I need to put, on my taxes in order for me to qualify for X amount so I can put down the least? So, if you're looking for that, if you're looking to buy this year and I know the deadline is coming up for your 2025 taxes, definitely talk to a mortgage professional and go through a few numbers. Hey, what do I need to net based on what I did in 2024 into 2025? What do I need to make in order to qualify for X amount? Again, if you're looking for less than 15% down. If you're not, there's bank statement programs, there's P&L programs that will not even check your tax returns. They'll just go based on your bank statements, see what you've been depositing the last 12 to 24 months, average that out, minus your expenses, and then that's what they'll qualify you as your income. But with that comes 15 to 20% down.
And there's also the FHA VOE loan option for
yes, there's a VOE if you guys just want to have an employer write down whatever your income is. So that is also another option. If let's say I've seen that a lot with people that do construction, that their boss or whatever the case is willing to fill out a VOE form and let them know, hey, this is how much they've been making. So yeah, every situation is different, but definitely if you don't get it, if you haven't gotten your W-2 yet, and you're working out your taxes, it's something to strategize with your mortgage professional to see, hey, which direction do you go? Because I always tend to say, hey, I'd rather you put that money towards your equity if you have it, if you have the 20%. Because some people, for some reason, they want to put down 5% when they still have the 20%, which is fine. But that sometimes does mean you need to pay Uncle Sam, depending on the program that you have. So it just, you got to weigh the pros and cons of both.
Right. And I think that's the important reason why a buyer would want to have a consultation with a loan expert to go over all of those scenarios and provide the best scenario that's going to fit them and their individual financial status.
Exactly. So again, there's a lot of people out there too that are in, doing gig economy work, people that have their own businesses, and they don't think about this until the last minute. But I do have a couple clients that are a little more ahead of the curve, and again, talking to me before they submit their taxes, because you don't want to do a revision. I always say, don't if you already did it, you open up a can of worms when you revise your taxes, and then now they're saying,
Oh yeah,
hey,
that's a
why,
mess. Don't
why
do
did
that.
you revise this? Exactly. I always say to write. So do it right the first time.
Yeah.
For sure, do it right the first time. Game plan it out. Schedule a consultation with myself, and I again can walk you through. Hey, if you want to qualify for this amount based on what you have now, this is what you're going to need to profit, and then go from there. You can have both scenarios. So yeah, but yeah, just doing a lot of those right now, and getting people ready for their tax time, because some people want to buy in the next month, 2 months, and they want to see, hey, what's the benefit? Should I, have less deductions, or should I put more down payment? So again, it's just based on the person. But and if you're a business owner, you either have a K1 that you get, you put yourself on payroll, which I think is a smart idea if you're that more advanced in business, to put yourself on payroll so you can use that payroll income. And then you have your K1, which is pretty much your profit that you pay yourself at the end of the year. So I think if you're not a sole proprietor and you're in that stage in business, definitely structure yourself that way. It's going to be much easier for you. And if you pay yourself as a salary, that's even better. Instead of you're paying yourself hourly, then at that point they got to average out your last 2 years. So yeah, definitely there's different tricks and ways to do it. And even if, like Bill says, he's dealing with clients that have on their second, third property, and how you structure your first property is definitely going to matter when you go into your second, third, fourth, fifth. Because again, even if you have rental property, do you claim those rental property income on your taxes? That's also going to be another factor. Or do you just, hey, I say you don't make anything from your rentals? I know a lot of people that do that. They just write off as much as they can. But again, if they're getting a conventional second or third loan, they're going to look at something like that. So again, just be cognizant, be aware. If you don't have a W-2, there are different ways you can get qualified. There's not just one way, right? There's, hey, I fully put things on my taxes. I have my pay stubs, my K1s, or I have my Schedule Cs. Or if, like, Shannon, I don't file right away, or I get paid very untraditionally than a lot of people, then there are loans for that. But again, just know it sometimes does require more down payment depending on the situation. So FHA does have a couple looser guidelines now, I'm noticing. So again, there's no one size fits all in that situation. But yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and then the jobs report's coming out Friday. So hopefully next week, guys, we'll have, we'll see what kind of news we'll have. I know we lost a lot of jobs in February, so we'll see that job market. I know the Fed pretty much expressed their concern with the job market and a lot of people losing jobs. So if you're out there, you have a job and you have the income, be grateful, because I guess it looks like a lot of people don't. So
Yeah, and for now, I think appears that the rates are not going to change too
yeah,
much for the remainder
I
of this
think
year.
so. Yeah.
We'll see. I think the situation in Iran can play itself out one way or the other, and that could, going back to where we were, would have a dramatic effect on rates right away. I don't know if that's possible. I'm not predicting that, but I guess outcomes are things get worse, things get better, they stay the same as they are now. It seems like it's a reasonable guess that at some point it resolves itself. I mean, I don't know how long we're going to stay at war there, but we'll see. That's unfortunate because it cost buyers, 2/3% interest rate, which I think they'll get back over time, but we'll see. Okay, so busy week in real estate. I know, Patricia, I've been swamped. I know you are. We got some new listings, putting stuff in escrow, we're getting offers written. What do you have going on this weekend? And if someone want to get a hold of you, how they get a hold of you?
That's right. My phone number is the best way to reach me, 323-365-9909.
Fantastic. Any open houses this weekend, or are you still in the playing stages on those? Or
I have my condo in West Covina is still available.
nice.
Yes, so it's funny, it's been on the market for about a month and a half, and
Mhm.
now I'm seeing more buyers that are actually coming up to see the condo because I think it's priced well. It's remodeled. It's a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. The square footage is 1325. Has a two-car attached garage, so it's a really nice condo. And I think buyers were, sometimes they wait to see if there's going to be any kind of price reduction. There hasn't been because I think it's priced well. So now it seems like at this time of the year, more buyers are coming out to see property and especially other homes that have been on the market for a little over a month. So if anybody would like to see it or know more information about it, feel free to come through.
Is it a warrantable condo too?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So that means you can, again,
FHA.
qualify FHA, conventional,
Yes.
down payment assistance for, for especially warrantable. So there's a bunch
Yeah.
of options for
A lot
Just
of
warrantable.
people qualify for that. And this
Call
one-
Shannon, see if you qualify for that.
That's right.
Shannon, what's
Great
up for you this weekend, and how else can we get a hold of you?
This weekend, just working, honestly. I have like a bunch of consultations. Again,
I believe you. You have to convince me. I believe you're working.
No, no,
Don't work so hard to convince me. I get it.
yeah. So like, yeah, just catching up on computer work. That's pretty much it. Getting people qualified and going from there. A lot of people are wanting ADUs too. Getting financing for ADUs, taking out some of their equity, doing
Nice.
that. I've been getting a few of those lately too. So
Nice.
But again, meet with architects, kind of plan out how much it's going to be, and then seeing if again the bank will be able to get them a loan for it. I've been doing a few of those too. So.
And if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Yeah. Again, my Instagram FUND Fund with Shannon, where we post the rates daily, and also my phone number 661-317-8484.
Fantastic. I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate. I'm actually off tomorrow and Friday for
Nice.
holidays. I'll be back next week. But this episode drops every Friday. We get together and talk about issues of home buying, whether it be your next home or your first home. Glad to help if we can. On behalf of Patricia, Pat, and Shannon, make it a great week. Make today your best day ever. Thank you so much.